Yeah. So it's the text that I see on my screen, and we can see it on the TV screen. The text of whatever somebody's saying is not something that comes through on the recording. I was hoping it would, because that would make um, whatever sound issues are happening, at least you'd have a text of that sound, but that doesn't come through.
The YouTube has a closed caption function, but it's got to hear first, and it doesn't. If the sounds are really bad, there was one recording where the closed caption didn't work
Uh-huh,
on YouTube. So we'll add it back if it's good enough to start with.
uh-huh. Yeah,
But
we can
the viewer
actually,
has to.
yeah, I actually tried using, YouTube is something that Zoom allows you to do. Um, but when I tried to do as a test, it was not stable enough. Um,
Roger, oh, sorry.
Yep.
no, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Lynn. I'm sorry I had to step away.
Uh, Is there an equalizer? There must be on that soundboard.
I do not know because I don't know anything about the soundboard really. I don't know a lot about it.
Is it just a pass through, like a place to put a bunch of plugs
No,
and come in?
there's an equalizer on it. It's a pretty
It's a big
sophisticated
board.
sound.
Well, I'm thinking we could, it might be possible to do something with the echo by playing with the equalizer.
All right, I can
To
ask.
try to, I mean, it can be terribly distorted, but that's still preferable to the echo being, making it uncomfortable to listen to.
I'll ask my tech guy on Sunday if he has a minute to show me where the equalizer is and how to tweak it.
Okay.
What's his name, Roger? Sean?
Sean,
Yeah,
Sean, Shon.
thanks. Yeah, he's good.
It's like John.
All right. Got it. He'll help us out, and we will get this. I mean, this is what's happening is not that unusual, and I know we're all eager to get this fixed. But
Yeah,
it's
and
a great facility, and
I
I
just
think
have
it's
to make special arrangements with him because he normally does not come into the office on Monday.
Well, you could ask everyone to bring a blanket with them, which would,
Absorb
absorb
the
enough
sound?
sound. Yeah, just kidding.
okay, I think we're certainly diligently working on trying to make things work better.
Can I
The,
just mention, Chris,
sure.
one more thing about the Kirkwood? I didn't look at any of the full board meetings, but I didn't see the camera pivoting to capture the image of the speakers from the audience. And I think that's very important to
Yeah, no, I
be
noticed
on
that too.
tape.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I, at least part of it has to do with the fact that the microphone for the speaker from the audience is right next to the camera. So it's a little hard to pivot, but we can certainly make that work.
So maybe we reposition
Yeah,
where the microphone is.
Yeah.
Maybe we put it over towards the end of the table where John Haggerty sits.
yeah, that would be easier to do that.
And there's one other element or option that we may want to consider in the future, down the road. Because having a camera operator, I mean, it's very nice. I think it's a huge luxury. It's very nice. But at the community that I came from, we had two static cameras. One camera focused on the board. The other camera was my cell phone dialed into the meeting on Zoom, audio turned off, video on, positioned on a tripod, facing the audience. So there are two static images and no camera operator. So it's not as elegant as what you've created here, admittedly, but it is an option that worked half decently for us in the other situation. I just thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, one other thing that you mentioned, Andrew, which I think bears looking into, is that perhaps we need a dedicated laptop. The laptop that I have is relatively robust. They have 64 megabits of memory, which is not, which is the more than almost all laptops don't have much more than that. But I don't necessarily have the latest processor. And so it may be worth the while for us to look into purchasing a laptop that would be for the IT committee and would have all the best processor and memory features.
Yeah, let's keep it in our peripheral vision this year. And
I think so.
you know, as we get closer to budget time, maybe do a little research and at least spec out, you know, if we were to do that, what would the spec read and what would be the financial impact and what would be the value?
Right, right.
Get straight with all of that and then see how receptive the board might be to that.
Okay, let's move on to the next item, which is the website review. I did make a couple of small changes to the assignment list. I added the office area to Lynn and the activities area to me. Those were both assigned to Tom Brady and to John West, and I left them on their assignments, but just to make it a little bit maybe we haven't had a lot of communication with those two, and so I moved those over, added those to the other two lists. Other than that, everything's about the same. It's Lynn sent out a very interesting email about the about list, and I think she made some interesting suggestions. Lynn, do you want to discuss that a little bit?
Yeah, this is in particular about the association documents page of the on the about list. And someone last week, was it you, Roger, that called this the kitchen junk drawer?
I'm not sure, I might have.
Maybe it was Andrew, I don't know. It was somebody that piped up with that excellent label. But I looked at this, and is everybody, can we look at that page, Chris, please?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, here you can see that we have a lot of things here in the association documents and so Lynn, go ahead.
Okay, the important thing to keep in mind about the whole about menu. By the way, Chris, this was Joan's area to review, and you were going to reassign that, or has he done so? Have anybody have the about menu?
Yeah, Catherine
That they-
has it.
Okay. So the first thing to keep in mind is that the whole universe has access to everything on the about menu. And so any review of that has to be, what do we want people to know about us? What sort of housekeeping do we want to show our guests? Those kinds of questions. And so my first job was to sort what's on and what's not on. And then the second job is to try to organize the stuff that's left on this page to actually make sense so that people can find things and then a sub part of that is do the individual, when you click the links and look at and read the content, does that make any sense? Does it need fixing? So the thing I sent yesterday by email is just a first cut of what I think should be in. And I didn't make a list of what should be out because should be clear. But just to review what should be out, I think everything under letters and documents goes elsewhere. Much of the second part, such as extremely important information regarding second floor units. That's a creation of Maggie, that title. Oh, first it was just extremely important information to write. And I insisted that this be put on. But anyway, that's the kind of thing we're dealing with. So that's out. The census form is out, goes to the office menu, the letter email to Boyd, letter to local legislators. So that leaves us essentially with a few documents, a few information pages, and the association documents. Now, if I understand this correctly, what I put under association documents is the things that by law, every owner is supposed to be furnished with. Roger, can you just review that? Articles of incorporation, bylaws, declaration, rules and restrictions, association FAQ.
Yeah, that would be, those are required, and those are the legal document, that is the legal documentation for the operation of the association.
Is there anything that I left out?
Well, the application for occupancy could remain there, because if somebody's looking to purchase, they do need that.
Well, the second section of how I've organized this is called Association Forms for Prospective Owners and Renters.
Oh, all right.
Did everybody get the email with the attachment
Yeah, I did.
yesterday?
I didn't have time to look at it yesterday. I was involved in church stuff all day.
Okay, well, the second section, I'll read the things I've put in there.
Okay.
The Wildwood Springs current budget, the maintenance fees, the insurance appraisal, all things that people may need to get a mortgage. And then I didn't know where else to put it, but I put the general FAQ, which is the FAQ that I made from an old FAQ. That's more a chatty thing about, gives information and has information about where's the golf course? Is it okay to store your RV here? That kind of stuff. And then I have a third section, which is forms and information. And I don't know, Chris, do you have that attachment? Because I really had trouble finding logical ways to group these things. So
You mean the one that you sent out?
yeah, yesterday, last night.
Yes, I do have it. There it is.
Okay. Okay, so the first section, as I said, is essential documents that all owners are supposed to have access to. Second section is general information. What's the budget? What's the maintenance fees? What's the insurance appraisal? The third section, application for occupancy. And then I put under that something that now exists in the association documents page, which Chris and I looked at that yesterday. It's entitled Condominium Questionnaires, Long or Short Form. And I said to Chris, if you read that about 3 times, you'll figure out maybe what they're talking about. But it contains errors, and that has to be totally rewritten. What it is a separate page that says who to send it to, what the fee is.
Let Catherine explain it a little bit.
Okay.
The master, all right. The estoppel request form, it's not a form, it's the procedure on how to get it.
We're talking about the condominium questionnaires, long or short form.
Okay, that is actually a particular document submitted by banks to the HOA. Each bank, each lending company has its own form. We don't
What are we
have a
talking
form.
about? We're talking about
talking
estoppel.
No,
Well, condominium questionnaire first.
That comes from where?
From a bank or a lender.
Okay, we
It's
need
their form. They have their own special forms that they use.
okay.
And the estoppel request is also the same thing. Each closing company has its own forms that they send to Wildewood Springs or wherever the person wants to buy into. So it's just a request. How do you get one? Was the question that was asked in 2016 was, how do I get an estoppel to the office? And then that was what the answer was, is please email your estoppel request form to manager with a copy to whoever the office person was. It cost $100, blah, 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 blah. The way it's written now. I mean, it certainly could be clarified with more sentences, but both the estoppel request and the condominium questionnaires have to do with the financing of or the closing on units.
Okay. That has to be put in the,
Clarify.
and both of those need to be rewritten. Catherine, why don't I call you and together you can give me this information again and I'll rewrite both of them. Would that
Okay,
work? Okay.
sure.
All right. So the third section, application for occupancy, then we need to create a new document that says the directions, because that's not on that application. The master condo insurance documents, how to get them, estoppel request. Okay, so that's what I have left. And everything else, the coyote notice, for example, Senator Boyd response, the pickleball letter, et cetera, all that stuff is out. That's what I would propose we do. I mean, it may go on another menu or it gets thrown off the website.
Should be in the residence menu.
Yeah, I'm sure we can find another place for some of those things. The other one that might be added to either probably general information, or the bottom one, forms, actually probably more general information, would be the wind mitigation information. That is something that it may be of interest to a prospective owner. In fact, they may have, their lender may require to see that.
Is that on here now?
It is not. It is in the,
Okay.
I don't remember where I put it, but I think I put it either in the office area or the documents area.
Yeah, that can be.
I would suggest that the wind mitigation be underneath the Wildwood Springs general information for prospective owners.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Most of the time, under the section that Lynn labeled master condo insurance documents, that's where that comes in. And if we're going to define on how to request, we could also include what to request.
Yeah. Andrew, you have your hand up.
Yeah, boy, Lynn, I really like the direction you're going with this. It's terrific. I have one suggestion and maybe one observation. One suggestion is that as it relates to our FAQ, you might want to consider consolidating so that there is one FAQ. You could have subsections under it if you wanted to, but just from a content management standpoint, when you start having different versions of something that is called the same thing, that can create some confusion. So, and number two, I might ask you to consider, or the committee to consider, actually moving rules and restrictions plus the FAQ down under general information for prospective owners. And the reason I say that is that association documents, that typically, my understanding, and I could be wrong, but my understanding is that when you say association documents, you really are talking about the big three: the declaration, the articles, and the bylaws. These documents cannot be altered without legal input, preferably, and also member majority member vote. So whereas rules and restrictions, that's an important document, but that's a document that can get changed by a simple board motion and agenda item. You don't send rules and regulations to lawyers to look over. So and yet prospective buyers, if they're savvy, they are interested in the rules and regulations of a community. So both the rules and regulations and the FAQ, I ask you to consider pushing those down into the general information for prospective owners. But boy, everything else is just you're really bringing it into focus. I think it's really great.
Yeah, the one thing about
Roger?
the association FAQs, that's required by statute. And it has to be actually submitted each year. And so the general FAQs, it could be a subset, I suppose, but it's not required. It's not part of the statute.
I understand. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
So, oh, it's okay. So what should we do with those? Should we accept Andrew's suggestion and just have the 3 articles of incorporation, bylaws, declaration, move the other 2? Well, move rules and restrictions to general information.
I understand Andrew's point of view, and he's 100% correct. Those top 3 do require owner meetings and lawyer involvement. So I think that would make sense because the rules can be changed by the board. So to me,
Okay.
that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. And suppose what we have now with the non-official FAQ, I agree completely with Andrew's suggestion that we rename that. But that is now a separate entry, as I said, in the About menu. And I think the reason we put it that way is that we felt that people who were just looking at the community in general and thinking about, is this of interest to me, would not be plowing through the association documents menu, but rather want a little description up front. So it exists separately in the in the About menu, but I agree we should retitle it. Does anybody have a suggestion to retitle it? I guess we could just say general information or about the community or something.
What's FAQ stand for?
There's lots of different
Frequently
options.
asked questions.
Okay.
Lots of, this could be as simple as living at Wildwood Springs. So.
Or Q&A.
Everyone on board with that? Living
Mhm.
at Wildwood Springs. Here at Wildwood Springs.
That's
We
right.
could have
And I
music.
get where you're going. You want, it's sort of like the association FAQ is the quantitative version, and the conversational FAQ is the qualitative. Now you get it's the story. It's a little bit of the story about what people might be getting into if they purchase here. So I certainly understand the division of the 2. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we leave the 3, as you say, big documents in association documents. We move rules and restrictions to general information. We make the corrections that Catherine suggested to clarify estoppel request. And we we create a new directions for submitting application of occupancy. Anybody else?
No, I think that really makes a lot of sense, and I appreciate all the you know, the work you've done to try to get this better organized.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, let's go, let's move on. We have somewhere an agenda. Yeah, but that's not it.
That's not it.
No. I don't think it is.
That's just it.
Yeah, I guess it is. It is. Let me take a look at this phone. Go ahead, Jane.
Can I just ask a question? I have been looking at the community, which is my area. What I've found is very minor, and I can definitely send you a little note about that. It's, you know, take this out because it's old kind of stuff. But the one thing I did wonder is it possible to reorder the drop-down menu? Because the drop-down menu doesn't seem to me to make much sense. It was just random things. I'd like to see it grouped a little bit differently if that's possible. And if it is, I'll send you my suggestion.
Now, which drop-down menu?
Community.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, we can certainly do some
It's
changes
just,
there.
it would just be reordering the order of the items on the menu.
That's easy enough to do, yes.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jane brings up a very good point, and that is that each of us in our assigned areas that we're supposed to be policing should consider that question as well.
Absolutely.
The menus were created when we first moved to this website format, and were not really discussed by all of us. I mean, we talked about some, you know, where to put some stuff. Did
No,
it go in
you're
this
right.
menu for that, but not how should it be ordered?
That
Good.
was all done by executive decision.
Oh, it was?
No, I was the one that ordered
Did he have the authority to do so? Did the committee vote to? Anyway,
them.
He used a dartboard.
Yeah,
So before
no,
we go on
it's
to the,
certainly worth taking a look at.
before we go on to the next agenda item, I'll just mention that each of you now has my output from my review of the two sections that I was assigned, but I never got it to you fast enough for you to be able to consider before this meeting. So I would ask you to take a look at it. My two areas, board and committee menus, I'll just summarize by saying needs work. So check out my summary, and I'll probably double back with Chris one-on-one. And I'm quite happy to chase down some of the follow-up work that is indicated from my findings, and so that, you know, we don't have to sort of let things idle, and we can fix some of the stuff that clearly needs to be fixed, and then bring other issues that really should be IT committee conversations before anything is done. Save those for our next meeting. But if that sounds okay, maybe Chris, I can follow up with you,
Absolutely.
and then because some of the stuff I have to do to clean these sections up is to sit with either John or Cynthia, or other owners like the ones that I'm looking at right now, who are veteran legacy owners who've been here for a long time and probably know the answers that I don't know. So I'll be happy to chase that down, but look for that in your inboxes, and let's attach it to the documents associated with this meeting, and we'll go from there.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks. Thank you.
Our next item is the new cable internet contract. I know there was a meeting. I don't know whether you were in it, Roger.
I brought one of them in.
Okay, so this was a fiber optics company.
I brought in the blue stream.
Okay. And so, you know, we do have a committee member is involved with it. I was involved in the last contract. I haven't been involved in any discussions on new one. I know that Spectrum would like to renegotiate before fall. Is that right?
Yeah, they've asked for discussion. They have, what, we've looked at one fiber optic company. There's another fiber optic company that Tammy on the board has connected with that are going to be coming in to make a presentation. Spectrum wants to make a presentation. I don't know what that one's going to be all about, but John and Steve are beginning to meet with these folks to get preliminary information because our contract does expire next fall. Fall of 2024. So or maybe it's 2025.
I think it is.
It's
Yeah,
2025.
I think it is.
So in order to make some of these changes, we need over a year to get it together, especially if we change vendors and they have to install the fiber optic cables of the fiber optic stuff in the ground. So that's why they're talking about it now. They're looking at options. They're looking at costs. We don't know, or I don't know, because I wasn't at the last meeting. But I don't know if Spectrum is offering fiber optic or if they're just considering staying with what they have. I think I have seen fiber optics being installed along the boulevard, and they're going from box to box that belong to Spectrum. So it could be Spectrum putting in fiber. I don't know. So all of that's on the table. The discussions have started so that we can be prepared to come up with a new contract before the other one runs out.
Roger, why isn't this an ad hoc committee that meets in public?
It may get to be that. I just know that I brought in the one fiber optic company because they contacted me for some reason, I don't know why, and wanted to come and talk to us. So he said, okay, come on in and talk to us to see what's out there in the marketplace for us to select from. I'm sure that we will have to create a committee to do those meetings as we get into this a little deeper, but I think this is just preliminary testing the waters to see what we might want to look at. But I'll check with John and Steve on the creation of one, on when they might create a committee to start running all this out.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's an important issue. The next item is an office email account, and it makes a lot of sense for us to have an email that is simply office, and then it's routed to in this case Cynthia, but it allows us to have that office email in a number of documents that is not specifically Cynthia, and this way we can have a little more flexibility when something is changed as far as who is involved in it, and it would be easier than having to change a number of documents. So I will create that. It was discussed as to what we call the private and the public side of the websites. Is there a better way to describe those?
My question is, can we think of ways to refer to them that people who aren't on the website committee would recognize what we're talking about? I mean, that's our shorthand, and lots of people use that who are involved with websites, but John often refers to this in memos or his correspondence to the owners. And I don't think, I mean, people have said to me, what are they talking about? So my feeling is we need to think of something more user-friendly.
Well, that, I think it's difficult. I understand what you're saying. I think it's difficult if you look at the menu on the website. If you were not someone who lived here, how do you know which one of those items you need to click on to get public information? It doesn't say public on there anyway.
Right.
Maybe the about menu should say public.
But can we think of a word that's better than public? Like available to all without a login is a lot of words, but that's the meaning we want to convey.
Yeah, and I guess maybe it's because I'm close to it, but to me, that's what the word public means. It's available to anybody.
You're close to it, Roger.
Yeah,
Ring your next door neighbor's bell and
okay,
ask,
and ask them,
yeah,
okay.
do your man on the street research.
You know, private could be replaced by owner.
Actually, it's probably more applicable to say resident,
Okay,
because
right.
we do include
Renters.
renters, yes,
Yep.
on the on that
Resident.
part of the website.
Yep.
So the residents only, we could put that in, we could say that.
And Roger, where do you suggest we put your label to indicate that it's available to the universe?
Well, isn't that the about menu is available to the universe, right?
Yes.
And it's
So-
the only menu that is.
So maybe that's the one that we retitle.
Uh-huh.
Instead of saying about, you say public information? I don't know. Is public?
Can I just jump in for a second and
Sure, bail me out.
Okay, whenever you go on a website and you're on the main website of this association or any other association, by default, you are automatically on the public facing portion of the website. So, and then I can tell you that a client I work for up north, they use the word portal. Member portal. It's a co-op I work for, and they have a member portal, and the use of the word portal indicates that is the behind the wall, so to speak, for members only. And you might consider using the word portal as in owner and resident portal, because that really kind of drives home, okay, I'm going to a special restricted portion of the website. But to identify that you are on a public version of our website, it's almost just a little, I'm just not sure that it's necessary, because again, by default you are. But to make that point, to have a strong, and including a visual icon that you would click. I mean, we have it right now. When you try to go to certain documents on our website, you gotta log in. So it's sort of a two-step. First, you hit the public site, and then you go behind the wall.
The one thing that I would say is that if I'm, if I just go to the website for the very first time and I start clicking on menus that might be interesting, and it says you have to log in, I don't know necessarily that one menu, that about menu, is actually available to me.
That's
So I
right.
may not go to that one first. I may go to the other ones that I may see where I've got to log in and I give up. So I do think that maybe calling that menu public might might be appropriate so that somebody who is looking to find a menu they can get to, that one would stick out.
Andrew's reference to if you go to wildwoodsprings.com, you don't get the about menu. You get the, we happily walk and jog and swim in our 7 pools page. And what we could do is say, for public information about our community, go to about, click here. And that would tell people that the universe can go there. And
So
then they
put
can
it-
find out.
So put it on the homepage.
Refer to it as the community information page or something like that,
Uh-huh,
and have a link.
right. But that would be pretty easy to do.
Yeah. Because they want, when you, as I said, when you log into the website, you don't get that information. You have to accidentally find it, I guess.
Yeah, you have to select the menu. That's what you get when you log into the
Yeah,
website.
yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
As Chris points out, that might not be the first one you select. That
right,
It's true,
right,
because if you scroll down here, you get other stuff, but it says
Right.
log in.
right.
So you really have to select the menu, but nobody
Right.
knows that you should do that.
You don't know which menu
Just
is
log
going to
in or
be
register.
available to you,
Right.
right? So do you think that changing the about to public makes sense? The name of it?
I don't. The about menu is a kind of universal general information menu. I mean, that's the title that's used in most websites.
So
True.
if we
That's
just
right.
simply mention in the homepage that the about menu is the one that is open to everyone, and here's a link to it.
Yes.
Okay,
And maybe we put something right on this page here where it says, welcome to
Yeah.
Wildwood Springs. For general information,
go to
so
this.
go to
Yeah,
the menu and
yeah.
select about.
yeah. We can do that.
Do you want to incorporate visitors to,
Excuse me.
the Wildwood Springs website? Use the word visitors.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, maybe we need to go back and look at the about menu as a whole to be inspired about this.
Well, and maybe we need to take a look at the homepage and see how we can better write that
Yeah.
first paragraph.
We could do this next meeting. I mean, everybody look at the contents of the about menu and see if that accomplishes what we're now talking about. I think it excuse me, I think it does. But that's probably a separate conversation.
I agree.
Good item.
Yeah, we'll put that on the agenda for next time.
Okay.
One of the things that was brought up to me was that the people that put the amendment, it was an ad hoc committee that put the amendment together or helped distribute the proxies and worked on this amendment to the documents, have a database. Basically, it came from the office here, but Tiffany Conklin sort of broke it out by cluster. And so when we were going around to, we were going door to door, and we had a list of the units in a cluster, and so it was a nice list, and we were able to use that if there was any changes, we would ask people if there was a change in their email, or if things were, I had two people in one of the clusters that didn't get the mailing. So that there was something that was amiss about their addresses. So the question that came up is that database useful, or should it simply be abandoned? And I would say I think it's something that we certainly could approach the office with and say, do you want to keep this database? Is it something that is superfluous, or is it something that's useful? And so I think I would suggest that we ask Cynthia, is this something that, might be helpful?
Which database are you talking about? The pieces of paper with all the names on it? And the addresses and that?
It was more than piece of paper. It was actually in spreadsheets.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of tabs to that spreadsheet. One tab contains just those that are supposed to be renters. It's a way of tracking whether or not someone's address is up to date. So I'm not sure if you're talking about these pieces of paper like I get from them.
No.
Because this one has.
This is spreadsheets that Tiffany developed from from the documents you have.
Oh,
It's simply broken out by cluster.
well,
And
that's easy to do the way it's set up now, but go on.
well, again, I don't know whether it's these what she's done is any different than what they have now. I don't know.
It's easy to break them up into clusters. I mean, that was never a difficulty. I did it numerous times when I worked in the office, but it is one of the only ways of ensuring that there is an accurate listing of the current owners and or tenants. Because the website is always going to be a day short, if you
Right.
will, or, be off.
Right.
And what they maintain, the database they maintain in the office is what I explained to Cynthia a couple of weeks ago, is the Bible.
Right.
When she had some questions about it, it's the most accurate accounting of who is the owner of the unit, short of going to every single file individually. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So this wouldn't be this wouldn't help or make much difference. Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, one of the things that we can do perhaps is see if there were additions or changes that they get put in the main master, because the master isn't perfect.
No, it isn't, and I think part of it is that it's not stressed upon her enough that she is the keeper of the best record, if you will. I'm just using as an example because I know for a fact that one of the people that she has listed here in red is because they didn't update their address, but somehow the owner's names changed from Jan, Jan, to Jane, Jane. And that's a careless mistake that somebody changed a first name on an owner.
Yeah.
Well,
like I said,
I mean,
I had
she's
two
behind
units.
in that sense.
I had 2 units that didn't get the mailing of the proxies. So that's a
Right.
concern. And that's one of the things that I think, if there were other issues that that the people who went door to door found, then they should be, it should get back to Cynthia so that it can be changed on the. map.
Right, and they should have turned those forms back into her with the notations and changes, just like the exterminating guy does.
Right,
He
Right.
gives her a return on the forms of the people who would not have, weren't home, or the key didn't work that he had in the pile. Or like in my case, that was the wrong key that he had for my unit.
well, the other thing,
And he
the
turns
other-
those forms in all the time. So I'm assuming that everyone that went around to get the proxies turned the forms back into the office with the notations on it. I would hope.
I'm not sure that happened. I can check. I know that
Yeah.
the notations I made on the spreadsheet, not on a paper. And so,
Yeah.
I did talk to Cynthia about the two that didn't get a mailing. But that's something I'm not sure happened in other cases. So we'll try to do
Yeah.
that. We'll try to make sure that whatever changes might be made, are reported. Because we want the master to be as accurate as possible.
Yeah, exactly. It should be.
Yeah. The website, or the computer classes, for January, I was only going to do the one computer class and then have web class in February. The dates, it's probably going to be either the last week or the very last couple of days in January, are some of the only times I have available. The question I have is, I really would like to have somebody, at least one or two other committee members, join me in the class. I know Catherine's done it, and it's very helpful because we have people at that level that need a lot of assistance. And so if there are certain days of the week that might work better for any of you, I would really like to know if some of you can dedicate it. It's only an hour. It's usually in the afternoon. And so, yeah, Jane, you should be here by then, hopefully, and
Yeah.
that would be very helpful.
Yeah.
So I would probably prefer a Tuesday or a Thursday. And so I'll pick a date and then send it around to everybody, and they can see if they can join us.
Chris, what devices do people bring to these sessions?
It's a little of everything.
Yep.
Yeah, we've gotten laptops, we've had phones, so I don't know if we've had any Apple devices, have we, Catherine?
Yeah. Yeah, we had those
Tablets.
An iPad.
not e-reader. One lady has an
Oh, that's
e-reader
right.
only.
Yep, we had like
And she brought it, and I actually went to her house to help her rather than try to do it in the office.
Yeah, we had it was a Kindle, I think.
Yeah, it was a Kindle.
Yeah. So we've had a little of everything, and we don't want to discourage anybody from bringing, a device in,
Whatever they
because
use.
it's always much better if they have their device here in the office when we're doing the class. So. Okay, I'll send out a meeting date. And then the next meeting itself would be January 26th. We have one more meeting in January. And so that's our last Friday, and we'll stick to last Fridays from then on. Anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
All right.
I'll second it.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for participating today. I think it was a very useful and very helpful meeting.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. You're
Bye,
welcome.
Bye.
Yep. Andrew, a quick question. I brought one of the poly devices in, and I started up, it connected to the computer, but it kept dropping the connection. It would drop it and it would come back. It would drop it and come back. Any idea what's going on there? Is that a Bluetooth
No,
issue?
that's interesting. I have not had that issue, and I'm using, as we speak,
Yeah, yeah.
listening to you on this. The only thing is to make sure that, I think I mentioned this to you before, is make sure it's fully charged.
Yeah, no, it came, when it came on, it said it had a full charge.
Right, right.
But
It's,
like I say,
to me,
it's done
it
this
sounds,
to me before, where it drops it, comes back, drops it, and comes back.
It actually did it at the workshop last month.
Right, right,
We couldn't keep it on,
right.
one or both units.
both.
Yeah, yeah. This time I only brought one, and it did the same thing. And so I'm not sure what's going on there.
That's very strange. So during this meeting, it dropped the audio?
Yeah, I turned it off because it kept doing that.
I've never heard. You know what I can do is, maybe I'll go onto their website and see if I see any FAQs about dropped audio signals with these units to see. I
Yeah.
can try and chase that down. That's very strange. Never occurred to me
Yeah, the
when I
one
was
thing,
using those units.
yeah, the one thing I might try is basically disconnecting it from Bluetooth and reconnecting it.
Yes. And yeah, not just like taking it off your list so that you have to repair with it.
Right, exactly.
Right,
And
right.
so I
And
think
also,
I'll give that a try.
also don't forget, I'm looking for it right now. I've not done the research on this, but each one of these units, if you go into the box, you will recall that there is a little USB plug, a little nub
Right,
that if you insert into your USB and you go on the Poly site, there is increased functionality you can execute with the unit. And again, I've not done that because they worked fine without
right,
doing it, but I'm
right.
going to actually research that for this little unit. But there are, if you go into your box, you will see
Right. Yeah, I've
a
seen
little
that.
thing like that.
Yeah,
And that's designed specifically to create functional enhancements to the unit. So that may be another avenue for us to investigate. So maybe we
Okay.
can learn together.
okay. What if you plug the cord in directly to your laptop? It's gonna charge, but does it also
I think it's
become?
going to charge, but I'd have to look at the user manual to see if
Yeah.
to see if there's actually a signal connection that gets established when you do that. My initial reaction is no, probably not. It'll probably just default to charging, right? But
Yeah,
I think that's where that USP chip comes in to, and it's been on my to-do list to sort of do this, because if we've got additional functionality in these units that we don't know about simply because we haven't done the research to find out what it
right,
is,
right. No,
maybe
I took
troubleshooting this problem.
I
Yeah,
took a brief look at the manual, but I did dive into it.
okay.
All right, I appreciate it.
Let's work it. Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Andrew.
Yeah.
Take care, Jane.